What's up, guys? I want to show you 3 tricks that I used in Blender to create my latest animation. First off, I'm going to show you how to use an array modifier with an object offset to produce radially symmetrical geometry. I'm going to delete our default cube and then add a circle, a mesh circle. I'm going to make sure that it has 6 vertices, giving us a hexagon. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to delete all but these 2 vertices. Notice that I'm picking the 2 that are crossing the x-axis at a 90-degree angle. So everything but those, Control-I to invert, X to delete the vertices. I'm going to take what's left and extrude it 1 Blender unit in the Z direction. Tab out of edit mode. Alright, now I want to add our object that's going to be used for the offset. So I'm going to add an empty plane axis, and I'm going to rotate it in the z-axis, or around the z-axis rather, 60 degrees. There's some math involved in this being 60 degrees, and I'll probably explain that in text as a companion to this video. Go back to what is now just a plane. I'm going to rename it hexagon so we don't get lost. And I'm also, before I do anything else, I'm going to parent this empty to what is going to become our hexagon. So I select it first, select what will become our hexagon second, hit Control P, and parent them. Okay, so go back to what's going to be our hexagon, and add, under our modifiers tab, add an array. Get rid of the default relative offset and add an object offset using our empty. I'm also going to go ahead and rename our empty 60 degrees. We want this modifier to have a count of 6. And if you go back into edit mode for the hexagon, you'll see that it's still just this one plane. And if we do anything to this one plane, the changes are going to be propagated throughout the hexagon. So there's a couple other things you can do with this. To make the elevator, I used this radial trick, and then I mirrored it and doubled all kinds of things. Some things just had a vertical offset with the array modifier instead of the mirror modifier, but it's just playing around with combinations of modifiers until you get something that you can both edit really easily and looks like a whole object. So a couple other things I want to point out. Because I was careful to choose the side that lines up with the y-axis here, that makes manipulating the geometry a little bit easier. So if possible, you want to do that. I also I forgot to turn on merge, which is going to keep these, it basically welds the geometry after it does the array. What else do we need to keep in mind here? Really, that's about it. Unfortunately, for my next trick, I'm going to have to switch over to Blender 2.78. The mesh from curves function isn't working in the 2.8 alpha, so we're going to switch on over. Okay, so go ahead and delete your default cube. We're going to be working with a bunch of curves. So first add a circle. Hop on over into edit mode, scale it down, move it just off the origin, duplicate it, Add another curve. This one's going to be a path, and go into your curves options over here and select the Bezier circle as your bevel object, and then go ahead and scale those circles down. Go back to your path, go into edit mode, Select the whole thing and subdivide it, usually a good way to go. Select one end, make sure that you have proportional editing turned on, and I like linear for this purpose. Hit Control T. This is one I learned about fairly recently. This is twist or tilt. So if you spin around wherever your active point is with proportional editing turned on, you'll end up with something like that. Check it out. We got a pretty good rope. Alright, Alt C. This is what wasn't working in the 2.8 alpha. Works just fine here. So now we have this rope, and it is actually a pretty dense mesh. Alright, now I'm gonna go ahead and add, let's do another path and add another circle. Select your new path and tell it to use your new circle as the bezel object, or bevel object. Both are kind of appropriate. Scale down the new circle, and you just want it to be just kind of average the outside of your more complicated rope. Go into edit mode for your, oh, I'm sorry. You want this to also be a mesh. I was just saying, go into edit mode and make sure there's enough geometry there. And we're going to create a vertex group that is all of the endpoints. Oops. So all of those and all of those. Create a new vertex group. We'll just call it ends and assign what we have selected to that group. And I always just make sure that they're actually in there. Now we want to go to our physics tab and enable a softbody simulation. And we're going to set the vertex group that we just made, the ends, to be the softbody goal. And let's see if we just hit Alt A and play the animation, we'll see what that does. This can be kind of fun at times. So you could just scroll through here, find something you like, and apply it as a shape key in the modifier, but I'm going to try to do something else here. I'm going to take our rope, and I'm going to apply, make sure you're in the first frame so there's no deformation happening with your just plain cylinder. And what is it, mesh deform. Add a modifier, and this is on the rope to the simplified cylinder. Hit bind, and nothing happens. There we go. I'm sorry, you needed to use a surface deform. So now you can turn our simplified version off, and you see we might not have enough geometry in there to really get it. This is also, I mean, obviously I need to play around with the soft body settings to get it to look 100%, but that's the basic idea. You're just using, rather than running, because I mean if you have this and it's, you know, going all the way across a very large scene, you might have a ridiculous amount of polygons in here. This is already, you know, 22,000 faces, 23,000 faces. So you can run the simulation on a simpler mesh and apply the results, and it'll still look pretty good. Maybe this isn't a great example, but I think you can kind of see the point. Okay, that's it for this one. Finally, we're going to do one more thing. It's really easy. We're just going to distribute this cube around a hexagonal prism using a particle system. So, go ahead and leave the default cube there. I'm going to add a mesh circle, and again reduce the number of vertices to 6. I'm going to go into edit mode, scale that up quite a bit, and then extrude it in Z. I'm going to select all of the faces and I'm going to subdivide it a whole bunch. Tab back into object mode and go to your particles tab and create a new particle system. Now we want all of these to be present the entire time. So for emission, we're going to tell them to start emitting on the first frame and end emitting on the first frame. And lifetime, however long, if you're animating it, you want the animation to be. In this case, I'll just set it to the end of the what's currently set as the final frame. So now they're all there. Go into your render section, make it an object, render as an object, and use your default cube. And then I believe, yeah, you can just scale that around, and you may later find it handy to move it to another layer. In this case, let's play around. Blah, blah, blah. You can just have it come out of the vertices. You have it not randomized. Oh, one other thing that you want to keep in mind is if you're setting it to say vertices and you only have 336 vertices, you only want 336 particles, and below that they'll start dropping out. And I'm not sure if Blender will like double them up if you have more than that, but there's no point in having more than that. And oh, where's my jitter? Anyways, all kinds of stuff you can do from here. I think I ended up doing something like you know, that kind of idea. Come on. And you can see that it's rotated, so that I'm trying to do like a little dock. Oh. There's another one of those things where you need to do it in edit mode. Yeah, there we go. So now these are all, you know, each their own little apartment with a dock so that our creatures can swing to our elevator. Alright, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.